What's up guys, Al from AM Training here. I'm going to go ahead and give you my A's to your Q's. So, I want to start off by apologizing that this video might be a little bit late from when you posted the questions. I've definitely been caught up with a lot of life, so hopefully this is not too late. And also, I'm going to go ahead and post a bunch of random training video in the background. Things that I didn't post on YouTube, probably prior experiences, and like I'll probably put Alpha Warrior when I did the course of Alpha Warrior, which is kind of like a ninja warrior. So go ahead and look at that in the background. And also, I also want to say that if you are not interested in me talking for so very long, there's gonna be some time hacks down below in the description. So look for the questions that you're interested in. But moving on. Alright, first question is from Naxxus 5000. As a physical therapist and powerlifter, what do you do pre and post workout to avoid injury in your training? I hate to disappoint you, Naxxus, but I am neither a physical therapist or a powerlifter. I'm actually a physical therapy aide. They are bottom of the food chain, and as calling myself a powerlifter, I don't know if I could officially do that without competing, but I plan to compete in November, so wait for that video coming up in November, of course. I'm pretty excited about that. Moving on to your question, I do a lot of dynamic warm-ups for pre-workout just to get the synovial fluid going, also to help with muscle coordination, to make sure that all muscles are firing in a nice synchronized fashion, so you know nothing misfires or you don't fall out of the groove or anything like that. Post-workout, and I also like to foam roll or PVC pipe roll before and after a workout, but before a workout it really depends on the training session. It kind of goes hand in hand with stretching or static stretching before a workout or a training session. You do lose some power output, but the risk, you have to look at it risk versus reward. You don't want to foam roll something that you're going to be using or stretching something that you're going to be using maximally in a couple of minutes, just because you do lose some power output. But then Ben Bruno had a perfect article about this, how the risk to reward ratio isn't as bad when you kind of static stretch 30 seconds at a time. Once you start going into a minute or 2 minutes, then you start to see more power loss the power loss, and also tend to be more injury prone. And depends on your training session that day. So when I do a deadlift training session, I tend to stretch out a lot of my hip flexors. I'll stretch them out. I'll do a lot of lacrosse ball, soft tissue work toward the area, just so I can better activate my glutes, and your hip flexors won't inhibit your hip hinging. So that's one kind of cool thing that I've found to help out with my training. Okay, so moving on, which type of specialist is best for each injury type? Same person is asking the different question. I'm not quite sure what you mean by this, but I like to say that everyone can contribute to something. I almost compare it to like MRIs. People are like, training specialist or whatever kind of doctor is like an MRI. It's only one piece of the puzzle. You can't just, there's no one all be all kind of thing. Is an MRI gonna be more helpful than an X-ray? It kind of depends on the situation there. So same thing with people and their injuries. It kind of depends on the situation. But that might be the question you're answering. But I wouldn't have an answer for you on that. I would have to kind of do research on what they are doing, and what's their whole spiel is. So I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it does. If not, then I don't know, and it's okay that I don't know. I'm just letting you know I don't know. Alright, same guy is asking, do you believe there is an age limit where risk/reward from low rep ranges changes? If yes, what minimum rep range would you prescribe to each age bracket? So the more important question I would approach this question is what's their training age? Yeah, you can have an old guy, but that old guy might be Jack LaLanne or something like that, and he will be ready for more of a 1 rep max kind of thing, because I'm a big fan of heavy weight getting moves around close to your 1 rep maxes, but if you haven't been training for that kind of thing, then of course the risk to reward ratio is going to be kind of skewed off to a different direction. Because your passive tissues or your connective tissues won't be able to handle that amount of load. Even though you'll have the strength for it, it doesn't mean that your connective tissues will be ready for it. So I think the risk to reward for that would be a little bit more skewed toward being risky for an older population if they haven't been training themselves. But if they have been, if they are kind of used to that, then heck yeah, I would say move more weight, because then that will get, that'll make a whole systemic change to your body, and that'll make them stronger, of course, rather than a localized, more hypertrophy effect if you were to go higher rep ranges or stuff like that. So his last question is, your scores for squats and deadlifts prove that you have good conditioning. What do you attribute that to? That's an easy one. Squats and deadlifts, of course. Louis Simmons said it best with this quote where he says, "Maximal strength is the foundation of all other strength qualities, and that includes strength endurance." I mean, if you are strong, every other weight or every other conditioning is going to feel easy, because it'll feel like warm-up. All right, moving on. Sean Choi. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. You can always get back at me by calling me Alvis, because that is not how you pronounce my name. It's Alves, but of course I go by Al. Anyways, I digress. What first got you into training with weights? Well, you know what? I used to be a long distance runner. I was 100 pounds in high school, and it was pretty easy. I wanted to join the cross country team, but I was in ROTC, so I didn't have time for that. But I could run easily 8-9 miles, no problem. I mean, like I said, I was 100 pounds. A gust of wind would have brought me, easily for five miles easy. But I decided to bulk up a little bit. I wanted to get stronger, and I was tired of being 100 pounds. And so I actually bought my first bench and weights and everything from Kmart. And this piece of crap was I'm glad that I invested in weights, but this was not, creme de la creme. This one, the bar that I had for bench pressing was literally made from 2 smaller bars that you snap together. And not even snap together. You put one bigger bar into the other smaller bar until they jammed up, and you bench press that way. Not the safest thing in my view. Not the best design. But anyways, what do I know? And also the weights for that piece of crap bench was cement-filled plastic. I mean, I just left it overnight, like outside, and it cracked and everything. It was really bad, but that's actually how I got started into training. So Jon Davenport asks, current 1 rep maxes, and do you even mustache, bro? So let me address the first one. My squat is 415. My bench was 300, but that was at 200 pounds. Currently I'm at 285 at a body weight of 187. Deadlift 520. I haven't recently tested it. I suspect that it's going to be a little bit higher than that. And do I even mustache, bro? I do not mustache, unfortunately, because I am Asian, and my Asian genes will not allow a mustache on my face. I can not shave for maybe 4 or 5 months, and it'll pretty much look the same. I mean, my Asian superpower is being hairless, because my arms look like I shave. I've literally met people, because I meet people every day, and 2 people, complete strangers, ask right when I shake their hands, do you shave your arms? And I say no. You can actually squint and look at the little fine hairs on my arm. I do not shave my arms. But anyways, moving on. Alright, so Acmilfc, I believe that's how you pronounce his screen name. Where are you from, and what is your current goal in the gym? I'm born and raised San Diego. I mean, I love this place. The weather's great, of course, so that's what we pay extra for. And one of the only places I believe that you can pretty much wear shorts all year round. And my goal for the gym is to bulk up to 200 pounds by the end of this year and compete in my first powerlifting competition in November. I want to squat 500 pounds by the end of the year, bench 330, deadlift 600 pounds. Hopefully those goals aren't too big of a jump. So Stavana Bitch 1, which is my friend Jesse, he is asking, powerlifting aside, who would you rather be, Mr. Olympia or World's Strongest Man Champion? Another easy one. I would rather be World's Strongest Man Champion because it's pretty close to powerlifting. Their emphasis is strength, and they lift things up and put them down, and that's wonderful. That's at least wonderful for me. Have you seen Pudanowski? I mean, that guy, he's a world's strongest man, but he can compete in bodybuilding if he wanted to. I mean, he is jacked, and you know, if he just changed his diet, actually forget the diet, he's pretty much ready for on stage if he wanted to. Alright, Anthony Tran is asking, on a scale from 1 to 10, how Asian are you? And what can I do to reach that level of Asian? So, I am probably gonna give myself a 5 on a scale, with 10 being the most Asian you can possibly be. I mean, I hang out with a lot of diverse people here in San Diego, so you know, I definitely am exposed to a lot of people, and I'm kind of whitewashed. I'm not too Asian. The only thing, I mean, I would give myself a 5, but now that I'm thinking back at it, I play a good amount of video games, so I'm gonna give myself a 6. And you know what, you're more Asian than me, Anthony, so if you want to obtain my level of Asian, you're gonna have to score lower. I mean, I would start, Anthony, by not eating rice with every meal, maybe stop breakdancing if you do breakdance, and stop being good at math. Those things will definitely bring your Asian score down. Hopefully that helps. Alright, so Anthony also asks, as a physical therapist, what is the most common, scariest mistake you see lifters make? I'm not a physical therapist, I'm a physical therapy aide, but as an aide, I would say that the scariest thing is not only lifters, but just people in general not keeping their spine nice and neutral. So even when they're out of the gym, I think Eric Cressy calls it the law of 23-1, where you are in that 1 hour in the gym, you can lift perfectly, but then the rest of the 23 hours you sit down like shit, you're moving like shit. So I say not keeping in mind a nice and neutral spine if you're sitting down, lifting or anything like that. So alright, Garage Gym Workouts ask, that's my boy Tim. Question I ask on every Q&A, do you consider yourself awake or asleep? I consider myself asleep. I bet you didn't see that one coming there, Tim. I consider myself asleep because if I smile really big, my eyes are so chinky that it looks like my eyes are closed, and therefore I am asleep. Boom. Mgarozzo, that's my boy Mike, asks, how is your garage gym so awesome? I suspect it's your jack stands used for block pulls, but I'm not sure. You know what? I actually hate those damn jack stands. I mean, it looks really cool on video, I must say, but I hate it because I'm so worried about putting the bar back right in its right place that, you know, because I don't want to overshoot or undershoot, because then if I miss one side, I'm gonna throw off my back for sure. I'm too worried about missing the jack stands that I'm not even concentrating on the pull, and I'm lowering down the deadlift bar, or the deadlift. I'm lowering down in the deadlift really slowly, which I tend to not like, because I feel like that's the most dangerous part of the deadlift. I mean, I've read an article where Matt Kroc says that that's where most of the injuries happen, is trying to lower down the bar. So he actually just kind of lets it go or lowers it down real fast with slight control. So Mike also asks, what are your 1-year goals, 5-year goals, lifetime goals in regards to lifting and body weight? So I already told you my 1-year goals. My 5-year goals, that's actually a good question. I'm hoping that I'll be in PT school by then. But regarding in lifting, you know, I'm depending on where I'm at that time, hopefully, but I can tell you my lifetime goals. I want to stay at 200 pounds, eventually squat 750, bench 450, and deadlift 800 pounds. Alright, so HeavyLifting Manlet asks, if you could only do one lift for the rest of your life, what would it be? That's a solid question, man. I would say the snatch grip deficit deadlifts, just because you can progress it well. You can definitely load it with a lot of weight. hits everything. I mean, like your back, just because of the snatch grip, and it would also mimic a squat, and that's probably something I would miss the most, would be the squat. Alright, so Strength Brothers TK asks, what motivates you to lift? Usually what motivates me to lift, because I wake up early morning every time. I wake up around 5 o'clock just to hit the gym right before work. I always want to get better in life. I usually say, if your name is in the record books, you got some work to do, and that's how I approach everything in life, whether it be strength or academics. I feel like bettering oneself is always a goal that someone should have. So Jeremy Holley, that guy is my bodybuilder that works out in his basement, or basement bodybuilding right there. He asked, since you're into physical therapy, do you believe repetitive movement of a joint over long time strengthen or weakens the joint? That's a solid question also. I'm going to go ahead and say it depends. It depends because when you are looking at a joint, everything around the joint, you're looking at, of course, the tendons, you're looking at ligaments, you're looking at the joint capsule itself. So in order to strengthen or weaken it, it really depends on how you're moving. I want to go ahead and say you have your wear and tear versus repair. I'm going to go ahead and coin that, yeah. So you heard it here first, guys. Wear and tear versus repair, TM. But basically what I mean by that is that if you're moving correctly and you're moving correctly, you're strengthening everything, I say it's going to strengthen all the joints, because what happens there is that movement is going to help shuttle blood and nutrients to that area, because when it comes down to ligaments and tendons, it's very hard to get that blood flow into there. You're almost looking at thousands and thousands of repetitive movement in order to get that blood going. But then again, if you do that thousands and thousands of repetitive movement, if you're doing it the wrong way, you're going to have some wear and tear. Alright, so LT Rob from It's My Midlife Crisis asks, what's up with the attitude/demeanor? You seem very calm. Are you just chill, or do you do something for relaxation? Totally serious. Let's see. I tend to be a pretty easygoing guy. Nothing really stresses me out. To be honest, the only thing that really stresses me out is my wife, but I feel like that's a normal thing, because you care so much about a person. You want to make sure that they are happy, and you're trying to do everything you can. Sometimes I could get upset. I have an addictive personality. When I get into something, I really get into something. So powerlifting, strength wise, I'm really into it. Video games, as I said before, I'm really into it. I get into it too much. Right now, even YouTube, I'm kind of obsessing over it, and constantly watching videos as much as I can on my free time. So I'm digressing right now, but really nothing. I don't really do anything for it. If I do find that I'm angry or stressed out about a certain situation, I can't remember where I got this tip, but the guy that I read, I want to say it's Paul Chek or someone like that. Basically, you just close your eyes and breathe from one nostril. So you're covering one nostril up, breathe real big and deep and slow, and then exhale, and then do the same thing with the other nostril, and then hopefully that relaxes you. And I do that just because I know stress is not good for anyone, and stress is actually going to help mess up your gains, because it's very catabolic to your muscles there. So stress is no way in any shape good for gains. Alright, so Robert Smith asks, what is your go-to pickup line? So my go-to pickup line is, excuse me, your parents must be retarded, because damn girl, you're a special girl. Then I'll probably get slapped right about there, but you know what? I have never been rejected. But then again, I've never used that line, so take that with a grain of salt. I've gotten every woman I wanted, and that was my wife. Me and her are high school sweethearts. But anyways, My current rep maxes, I told you guys that already. Do I play the jazz flute? I don't know if that's supposed to be some kind of sexual joke or anything from American Pie, but the only instrument I play is the piano, and I've been taking. I took pretty much 10 years of piano lessons. I stopped maybe four or 5 years ago, so don't really play all too much, just because I didn't like classical music all too much. I kind of wanted to play pop music, to be honest. I wanted to be that guy that can just bust out any kind of popular music and have people sing along. Or I wouldn't sing, but have them sing. Anyways, yeah, I stopped playing the piano, but this one time in band camp, I actually shoved the piano up my. All right, moving along. OfekUrbino FTS asks, how did you get into training? I talked about my beginning there, about Kmart and everything, but actual training, actually trying to get stronger and stronger and actually have a goal. I actually started when I was working, as a PT aide. I've been doing that for 7 years, but in the very beginning, one of my coworkers actually gave me a book, and in this book it had all the scientific data on periodization and everything like that. And it actually showed me that you can actually get progress in a scientific way that will help you get strong and get muscular that way. That there's actually a scientific process that you can go through and not just go to a gym and bench and curl. And that's pretty much what I was doing before. So I actually like that idea that you can bring science into it. I'm pretty much a geek that likes to lift, and that's how I really got into training. Alright, Brian Nielson, my buddy, Nerd Fight Club, support the club. He says he lost a ton of weight. He's referring back to my QnA, and yeah, you did lose a ton of weight. That's actually why I was laughing in that video. But anyways, question, who is your favorite powerlifting English professor? That's an easy one, Brian. That's gonna be Zack Moss. Yeah, I said it. Moving on.
I don't know how many that is.
So Dennis from Freakied0550, he asks, you're stuck on an island for the rest of your life. You can have one food item for the rest of your days in an unlimited, that's a tongue twister, quantity. What's your food item? Well, logically speaking, the only food that you can really eat and actually sustain life for a long number of years will be human breast milk. That has all the nutrients and all the vitamins that you need to continue to live. But would I drink someone else's titty juice? I'm gonna have to pass on that. So even though it has all that human growth hormone, hell no. I would actually pick bacon. Bacon is my favorite food. Either you love the taste of bacon or you're wrong. I would have to eat it with rice too, because I know you said one food item, but I'm Asian, and if there's no rice as a side dish, I must be in hell. So if I'm in hell, then I'm already dead, and it kind of defeats the purpose of this question if I'm dead. So hopefully that confused you as it confused me as well. So moving on, the Hulk 31990. So he asks, how do you stretch the inner thigh before and after the workout? Right now I'll probably post my little warm up here in the background. Basically I'm doing deep side lunges, and also I'll move on to toy soldier marches there, lateral toy soldiers, and that's kind of a dynamic warm up before I work out. And I like to really hit the foam roll or PVC pipe roll, the inner parts of your thighs there after a workout. It's gonna be brutal, but definitely helps out. So Zack Moss asks, what makes you the sexiest Asian? You know what? I'm gonna have to pass on the sexiest Asian. I think you are actually the sexiest Asian because Brian Nielson is actually claiming that you are his favorite Asian physical therapist aide that lives in his garage. So I'm gonna have to ask you what makes you the sexiest Asian, Zach. So Jevdawg asks, what do I think about push-ups, crunches, and pull-ups? Can these build a body just as good as weights? I ask because I gotta stop going to the gym for a while. Blah. So, you know, I'm a big fan of body weight movement, body weight exercises. Actually, that's how I started off. And there's a coach by the name of Jason Ferrugia, and he says that the best way to build muscle is moving your body through a plane rather than the weights around that plane around you. So you're talking basically about doing those gymnastic movements. And so in the beginning, that's what I did. I didn't really see too much results because my nutrition wasn't on, but I got some results. But I didn't really give this much of a try because I didn't know how to progress. It was early on in my training. I was gonna say career, but yeah, I can say training career. It was really early on. I didn't know how to progress, but now that I look back at it, I can. There's a lot of things that I can do and I would do, and I like body weight movements. So a lot of gymnastic progressions is basically what I would do. Pull-ups, yes. Push-ups, yes. I would try to do weighted because they're going to be easier and easier. So you might even start looking at handstand push-ups and handstand one arm push-ups, stuff like that. Against the wall. If you can do it freestyle, that would be even more awesome. Crunches, on the other hand, I'm not too big of a fan of crunches. I've read many studies on pig cadavers and the flexing of the spine and how it could be a lot, but then again, you have to also take note that it's not the cadaver, the little pig cadaver is not living, so it's really hard to say to compare that thousands of repetitions of that and see the difference and compare it to someone that is living. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that kind of core work because I believe that the core or the midsection is there to transfer force and not create movement. So you're looking at anti-extensions and anti-rotations. So I love planks, I love ball walkouts, I like what do you call those? Fallouts. Fallouts are pretty gruesome there. So yeah, you're pretty much looking at gymnastic progressions. You can definitely make a great body with that. I would say that I would even argue that gymnastic people have the best biceps in the sports world. The only thing that I don't like about gymnastic progressions is that it could be pretty hard on the passive tissues as you progress. I was trying to get into front levers and back levers. I'll probably post some in the background here. Front levers and back levers, and it's pretty hard on your connective tissue and your tendons, so you have to slowly build up to that, and that's probably something that is going to be harder to deal with rather than gaining muscle and everything like that. Irea22 asks, what are some hobbies outside of the strength training? So for me, I like snowboarding, paintballing, video games. I touched about video games before, but I'll get into more specific. I love fighting games, especially because it's something competitive. I like beating someone in the game. I also do shooting, Call of Duty and all that, but fighting games is where it's at, and I can play all day online on fighting games, so specifically Street Fighter and Tekken, and if you guys are familiar with any of those. But the reason I don't play as much as I do, I get so obsessed with playing that my adrenaline gets going. I get all shaky. I can literally lose four pounds just from playing video games in like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours worth of playing, which and I don't feel good afterwards, and it kind of affects my lifting. So I actually put video games on the back burner. Snowboarding, I do love snowboarding, but I usually probably go twice a year. Paintballing is the one hobby that I do almost year round, but it does get expensive because every time you go, you're gonna be spending at least $100 plus. Because I shoot my own marker and everything, I have a good amount of equipment, but every time you pull the trigger, it's pretty much 5 cents out the barrel, because that's pretty much what you pay. You pay for a big case of paintballs, and it kind of figures out to be 5 cents per every pull. And my gun that I particularly shoot, it shoots 35 balls per second, so that is a good amount of money coming out of your barrel every second. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed my Q&A. I don't know if I'll do this again. It was kind of longer than I thought it was gonna be. I don't know if I broke this down to two-part series. But anyways, thank you for submitting your questions. I really appreciate that. It didn't make me look like such a douche because asking questions and no one gives a crap about it. But anyways, I digress. Go ahead and train hard and train smart, guys.